Well, I never thought I'd see one of these again. Cassettes. Well, we've all got them. There's a copy of New Zealand Story. And indeed, if you're sensible these days, you're not really going to be running 30-year-old cassettes. It's nice to have on the shelf because you can buy something like this ST2 IEC for about £35, £40, something like that, which basically loads everything off an SD card, and that's for a Commodore 64. And it's nice and convenient. But of course, cassettes are nice to have, and some formats you may not want to invest on things like that because you have something a little bit obscure, or you may actually want to run the cassette version, in which case you go to somewhere like Retro Computer Shack and buy a cassette cable. This one's for the MSX, and you plug in something like this Sony cassette recorder, which I bought on eBay a while ago, which is the exact one I had back in the late 80s, and it's a quite superb bit of kit. I've not polished this up for the camera. This is just how I use it. Battered, but that's how it came, second hand. It's a really nice bit of equipment, well built. It has the critical earphone and remote things there, and microphone if you want to record out as well. No tone control on there either, because tone control complicates things, which means it can take all three. And Spectrum owners are now going, what are you going on about? Because any machine other than the Spectrum, or most machines other than the Spectrum, can pause the tapes or using this little remote, and you plug that in, and then your Amstrad, your BBC, your Electron, your MSX can stop and start the cassette at will. And that's really important for machines like the BBC Micro, where it does stop the tape during loading, sometimes to draw the loading screen. And if the cassette carries on playing, when the computer's then expecting data again, the cassettes aren't on too far. And you'll find this when using cassette leads to play in from a PC or something like that. Spectrum, it's dead easy to use a specky tape emulator from your mobile phone. But on the BBC especially, it's a complete nightmare because you have to rewind the images. Even on the MSX and CPC with multi-loads, it's a pain. But the thing is, here we are using really old cassette recorders. They're not expensive, but you're not going to get one in really good condition. There are newer Sonys available, and this one's really nice because it's got the built-in power supply. Really good. However, and I never thought I'd see the day, back office show spotted in Asda these brand new cassette recorders. Now, I know these have generally been available, but they've been about £35–40, and these are in Asda at the moment for £15. So I went down to a local Asda in the few towns along and saw if they had one, and picked one up. You can see some footage of me going on the Travelator and then finding this located at the back of the store. I picked this up, saw it, and all had protection on it as well to stop people stealing it. Like anyone's going to steal a £15 cassette recorder. I mean, why? Why are they even selling these? Because they were rubbish back in the day. They were only of any use for people like us who had computers who wanted to play our games off them. But I thought I'd get one in to see if these are worth getting because, hey, you're either going to go on eBay and try and get hold of one of these, which is, not my microphone, quite superb, or you could potentially just go down to Asda and buy one of these for £15. And yeah, the Sonys aren't expensive. I think mine was about £7–8, but then you put postage on, you could have something completely new. So let's unbox this. Break the seal. There we go. Right. Now it says on there, requires battery, so that makes no mention of power supply. So hopefully, look, there we go. I'm assuming that's a power supply there, so that's good. Not internal though. So we've got an external power supply here. Little 6-volt thing, KP Tech. Well, yeah, what do you say about that? It's a 6-volt power supply. Still, that means they can sell it in multiple countries, I guess. Not as convenient, because obviously with one of these, just takes a standard figure of 8 connector on there, you see. No power supplies. The later Sonys did require power supplies, which is why this model, the TCM818, is the one I prefer, because it's just so good. Anyway, back to the Akai, and it is an Akai, by the way, I didn't say that. It's an Akai classic cassette player recorder. Let's open her up. I've got her upside down. I've got a manual and stuff there. What's this look like? I've got no idea. It's light. Got some polys there. Keep your polys if you want to know. People who keep polystyrene for old stuff. You need help. Why? Anyway, right. So we've got a Akai cassette recorder. AK? Can someone tell me that? Am I pronouncing that right? I've got no idea. Cassette recorder there. Let's have a look at the manual as well. Need help? Yeah, I need help. The woman in the shop said to me, "Are you old enough to be buying this?" Dear me. So let's have a look at the manual first and see what it has to say about the specs and get these bits of polystyrene off the ChinnyVision table. So, Akai, tomorrow's technology today. Let's just think about this. Tomorrow's technology today, a mono cassette recorder. Instruction manual with built-in microphone. 3-year guarantee. Warning, the appliance should not be mounted to a wall or ceiling. That's good to know. That's good to know. Sorry, you couldn't see that there. Yeah, there's a warning. Do not mount it to the wall or ceiling. These things have always got howlers in them. Domestic purposes only. Do not leave the appliance unattended while it is operating. To be honest, your 8-bit computer is more likely to burst into flames than a brand new device. Children should not play with the appliance. When I was a child, I had one of these. Dear me, the things they put in these things today. Do not use near a bathtub, kitchen sink, laundry tub, or in a wet basement, or near a swimming pool or lake. Why would you do that? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. What on earth? Caution, invisible laser radiation will be emitted when the product is open and interlocks are defeated. Do not defeat the safety interlocks. It's a cassette recorder. Do you think they copied and pasted all this stuff in from a kind of CD player thing? Do you think? I think that's probably what happened here. Invisible laser radiation. It's a cassette recorder. What's it? What? Ground the antenna. There's no antenna. Who puts this stuff together? Yada, yada, yada. It's a cassette recorder. There's no specs in the back. That's what I was actually looking for. Specs on. Oh, dear me. Akai. That didn't work. Let's try again. Let's get to the cassette recorder, shall we? So here we have it in its plastic bag. Let's open it up. Look, I never thought I'd open one of these brand new again, even new old stock. This bag is not a toy. Dear me. How did we live back in the 80s? I'm surprised we're not all dead from invisible laser radiation or choking on plastic bags or putting one of these in a bathtub. Dear me. Right, so finish is quite nice, apart from the small chip on the right-hand side there. Cheap mechanism. Yeah, that's not your nice clicky Sony, is it? Still. Press close there. Right, so if I press close there. Right, okay. That's me not following the instructions. I mean, back in the day, you could have just pressed it anywhere, but no, they've got the mechanism there. There apparently is only one company that makes mechanisms these days for the cassette side of things inside, and they're all mono and they all work a certain way, so it'll be interesting to see how that works. Yeah, I mean, it's there we go. On the side, we've got our DC in, phones, microphone and remote. The question is that too far apart from my standard lead from Retro Computer Shack? Is that going to go in there? Microphone in. Oh, that's stiff. external mic. I mean, not that I need external microphone. Move a cat hair from there. Goes in. Yeah, that goes in. That works. I was worried they might be too far apart, but no, that seems to work. So we'll take that out a second. Ooh. I mean, to be fair, this is brand new, whereas anything else you use is going to be donkey's years old and have the ports nicely worn in. So that's not too bad. Volume control on the side there. Batteries in the back, and it is C cells. For that full 80s effect, you're never going to use batteries in one of these, are you? Imported by RKW Limited, Stoke-on-Trent. So they must be the distributors in the UK, made in China. Is AK, whatever they're called, AK, still an actual brand, or is it one of these rebadging things like Wharfendale and companies like that, where it's just a dead company that's been bought up by some other people? I don't know. Let's power it up and see if it actually works using a copy New Zealand story. So here we are. Eject. I'm not going to play this on the computer. I'm going to do a proper extended test for this on computers and see how it works. I just want to see what the speaker sounds like and what the mechanism sounds like. Classy. Oh, that's a... Dear God. That's a... That... Wow. That is a right stiff button on there. Don't know if the volume's up or down. We'll soon find out. Got half volume. Let's see if this works. Come on. You gonna work? Oh yeah. Bit of a buzz on there, but that might be on the original cassette. Any more? Spectrum games also have these bigger gaps on there as well, quite often between loading things, just because there is no remote ability to pause it. It's quite a big gap though. Here we go. No, finger light touching controls. Does it have automatic? No, you got to press stop. Let's compare that, just if that buzzes on there, with the Sony, shall we? Right, so here I am with my elderly 25-year-old or so Sony. Just much better on the mechanism, and it's a Sony. You can press it anywhere and it's finger touch. And look, there you go. There's a... Get the volume up at halfway. Which way is halfway? There we go. And it has a counter as well, which the Akai doesn't. So the buzz is on the master copy there. Sony's got a much better speaker. Not that you're going to ever use this for speakers. The interesting thing is going to be how well these two compare against each other using real hardware. So I'm going to give it a few days and do some testing, and then I will report back as to how well the AK does. I genuinely got no idea how you pronounce that. And we'll see how it does. And I'll also do some testing on recording as well, and I will report back very shortly. Right, dodgy camera phone footage. Press eject. Got my gauntlet cassette here. Never tried this. Here we go. Press play. That's hard. So it shouldn't go round until I press enter on the... Yay, that appears to be working. Let's see if it loads. It works! I thought it wasn't working. It was doing nothing and no flashing, but yeah, absolutely fine. Right, just selected what I want to be, and the cassette started again, so Gauntlet's a really good test because it's a multi-load. and it's using that remote socket. So yeah, this is working well so far. It's pretty, the general construction of this thing is so cheap. I'm sorry for the camera phone footage, by the way. It's the easiest way to do it when I'm with the computers. Also, it's a bit confusing because it looks like it's kind of failed loading because there's no stripy bars, but it is in fact working. Nice click from the tape recorder just now, and it's stopped. So that's all working perfectly fine. And yeah, Gauntlet should. Oh, hey, more multi-loading. And it started again, so now I have to. Oh dear, this is the worst multi-load ever. Apart from Street Fighter 2 on the Spectrum. These keys are really bad. Oh, they're so stiff. Right, need to press space. The cassette stopped, and then here we go, Gauntlet. That was quick. Here we go with the fussiest computer I have. It's a Sinclair Spectrum 48K. Known to get fussier as it warms up as well. Hates loading from my iPhone, always needs amplified audio. We can load this copy of Treasure Island Dizzy. Spectrum of course, can't stop and start the tape. So it just has the microphone and the earphone in. Which I know I need the earphone, but it's for testing purposes. I'm plugging in mic as well. Copy of just my copy. Did I buy this from somewhere? I don't know. Anyway, pop it in. Oh dear. And J. And press play. And let's see if this loads. We've loaded. Of course, no remote, so the tape is still going round till it hits the end. I'm assuming it has auto stop. Doesn't say it has or not. Right, so what I've got here is a original 1980s computer cassette, brand new. But I say brand new, it's very old, but it's unused. I'm going to record the piece of code on the screen. Right, so I've typed in save. I'm now going to press record and play on this cassette. That takes some pressing. So run a bit. And then I'm going to press enter. Hopefully start tape press any key. And it should be saving it to the cassette, hopefully. I'll do that again, it's done, right. So I saved my code out to the cassette recorder and then loaded it back in, and it loaded in absolutely fine. So that's good news if you're looking to save stuff to cassette. I also tried the cassette recorder on the Elk, the Acorn Electron, loaded in Rick the Roadie with a cassette that I know is a little bit problematic and I've had problems with before. First time, failed, didn't change a thing. Second time, loaded absolutely fine. I think that's more a function of that particular cassette, which I know is a bit problematic, than the cassette recorder itself. Everything else I've tried on the systems where I've got known good cassettes, everything's loaded in fine. One thing I was thinking of doing was doing a frequency analysis of how well the cassette recorder saves audio. But then I thought, what's the point? People aren't going to be listening to music on this. It is simply a question of, does it load and save reliably for our 8-bit computers? I think the best test, as I say, is does it load and save reliably. This isn't a hi-fi item. I don't think there's any point in starting doing detailed analysis of the technical parameters of the quality of audio it saves. So the big question is, should you run out and get one of these for your 8-bit computer while Asda still have stock for £15? And the answer is, well, if you've got a perfectly functional and good cassette recorder that you know is going to be fine for a few years, you probably don't need it. But if you're running an old cassette recorder that perhaps has a few issues loading, or you're looking for a new cassette recorder, then I don't think you can go too far wrong with this because it's a brand new device. Now, there are downsides. The buttons are really, really stiff and annoying, and perhaps they will loosen up with time. It does have an external adapter, although, as I said before, I had a Sony back in the day that also had an external adapter, and it's so they can sell these machines into different markets. The build quality doesn't feel quite as good as my Sony either, and the cassette door, well, as long as you press it in the right place, it shuts, but if you press it in the wrong place, it doesn't shut, but it does label it, to be fair. And there's no tape counter, but it's £15. This is cheaper, even not allowing for inflation, than a computer cassette recorder was back in the day. And it seems to load and save perfectly well. The mechanism inside does look a little bit cheaper than what we're used to, but there's only one game in town these days in terms of people who make tape mechanisms, apparently. As I say, the big test is, did it load reliably? Did it save reliably? Did it work on as many machines as I could try it out on? And the answer to all those questions is yes. For £15, for a machine that has a remote socket on it, I don't think you can go far wrong for CPC, Acorn or MSX users. Spectrum owners doesn't matter as much because you don't need that remote socket. You've already got a bigger choice out there of what's available at the moment. But hey, as I say, it's a computer cassette recorder available in a high street shop across the UK, and it's only £15. You're going to take a punt, aren't you?